Well, g'day. And, excuse me, welcome to another episode of Lanark County Confidential. This is episode number 23. It's titled, What's Going On? Actually, it's supposed to be called What's Going On Out There, but I can't get that up in the title here. They don't give me enough room to do it. So, anyways, Lanark County Confidential is being brought to you on Reno Vile Outdoors Web Radio. WRVOradio.com is the newest and most progressive internet radio network out there today. It's a combination of fishing and outdoor news, hunting, and just some good opinions on stuff, that we need to talk about, and some guys out there that are supporting the industry in ways other than just going out and buying products, and because we actually need a lot of people to voice their opinions and get out there and support stuff. There's a lot of complacency out there and stuff like that, so it's good for everybody to get up and get off their butts sometimes and march around and do stuff that corporate guys don't want you to do. I know the sponsors may not like that, but I gotta say that's in this day and age, we gotta do what we gotta do. So, but if they don't understand that, well, then maybe those are the guys that we should be marching against. The guys that do understand it, they understand it. So, anyways, let's go on to something today that I want to talk about. Just another thing about WRVO. Where can you listen to it? You can listen to it on Shoutcast. What is it? You can, what is it there? Let me see here. I'll just get that in a sec. iTunes. What was it? Yeah, sorry, it goes to TuneIn Radio. Well, you can go to the link. You go to Reno Vile Outdoors and then go to the link. Just click on the Listen Live on his radios. I was doing it there earlier today. I was getting ready for my show, so my podcast. So, and you can also do it on Shoutcast. These are apps for your, I guess, your Android phone and your iPhone. So, I guess the TuneIn. I don't listen to it on my phone, but if you wanted to do it that way, you could, I guess. So, anyways, today's show is called What's Going On? Well, for a number of reasons. One of the things is that I did get a chance to go out recently, even though I've been quite sore. Back's been pretty sore these days, and I did something to my arm, pulled a tendon in my arm or something like that. So it made it really, really, for about a week, for about 2 weeks there, I couldn't lift my arm hardly any at all. I still don't have enough strength in it. So, but that's what happens when you get older, I guess. So because of that, I just couldn't go fishing. I just couldn't cast. I couldn't even set the hook. So it was pretty depressing there for a while. But anyways, I did get out just for a few hours. Both times actually was just in the afternoon. A couple of people called. I talked to a buddy of mine and said, let's just go, get over here quick, and we'll go. And then wife Wade went out the other night just for a few hours and did pretty well, actually. Got about 25, 30 fish, I guess. Some nice smallies, and caught some walleye, actually, too. And a couple of major perch. I call them ninja perch because I caught them on ninja jigs, but all I threw. I had one rod. Well, I had lots of rods with me, obviously. I always do that. How stupid can you be sometimes? But I just ended up using one rod. I was just throwing a ninja jig with the Yamamoto creature on it. And, I got it on video. I'm going through it now. So, but it's pretty cool. We did very well. I picked the Mid-Lake hump that I've found there a few years ago and went out onto it and found some fish on it, and it did so every once in a while on it. And then I go back to it every once in a while just to see. And this year it's actually pretty good. Last year it was okay, but this year was much, much better. So anyhow, then I got a chance to go out on Big Rito with another buddy, another friend, and I was helping him do some pre-fishing for a tournament. Did some smallie fishing out there. It was pretty fun, and it wasn't too deep of water or anything like that, but again on one of the mid-lake humps. So, and again I was using Ninja jigs, so it was pretty consistent. Then Saturday, I guess, Adam asked me to go for lake trout. Well, we've been planning this for a while. Last year we planned it and it never happened, just timing and stuff like that. So we went out again we planned it again this year, and so I called him up. He was going to go out with me for smallies on Mississippi, but I just went and called the wife. So, but we went out to Big Rito Saturday. Nice day, actually, beautiful day. Wind wasn't too wasn't too much wind, and boat traffic wasn't too bad. But it's Big Rito, so what can I say? There's a lot of silly people buzzing around Big Rito on the weekend. So, but anyways, we got it's first time I've ever trolled for lake trout on Big Rito. I've jigged for them vertically and stuff, and had varied results and stuff. But this is the first time I've ever trolled, and I've trolled for trout before. I mean, I've gone down to Oswego and trolled for browns in the springtime and stuff, and used downriggers and stuff. So I have my own downriggers, and so I've used them before, but I've never done a gang troll or anything like that. So it was a different way of fishing. It was different presentation. It was just something. It's different than what I'm fishing. I usually go for bass or walleye or something like that. So it was totally different to what I was used to. But anyhow, the first one was just a tiny little one, and then we caught another one. Just on everything was coming off these breaks sort of type thing. As you're coming out of deeper water into shallower water. Typically, you were coming out of, say 80 feet of water into 60 feet of water, or pretty much 80 feet of water into 70 feet of water type thing, in around that range type. So, and me being somewhat stubborn at times, Adam's let me use his gang troll, but I didn't get anything for a while, so I decided I'd just go back straight to a lure, but putting out about 100 yards behind the ball or something like that, or 100 feet behind the ball, but didn't work. So, anyways, he caught them all, and I just netted everything all day long. So, but I had fun, and I got to keep a couple of lake trout. So, and I got some good experience in figuring out where they are, why they're there, and I'll go back and I'll try and get them. I've got my little boat, so I can set that up and go trolling with that, or I want to try and vertical jig them. I think that'd be pretty cool, but they're in 60 feet of water, so it's a bit harder to do it. They're easier in the springtime when they're up a bit shallower, but anyhow. So, and then, it was just, we went back to, like I say, with the wife on Mississippi with the smallies. That was the other part of it. So, but it was pretty. It was. It seems that even though this year I haven't gone out as much, every time I've gone out, it's been way more productive than last year, where you go out 4 or 5 times and catch a couple of fish type thing each time. So this year I've gone out less, but it's been much better. So. It actually makes me think maybe the fishing is better this year than it was last year. I'm not sure, but if that's the case, that's a drag. So, because I'd like to be able to get out more, but we'll see. We'll see in the coming months what happens. So, so what else? Just something I like to mention is I should have mentioned at the beginning. Sponsoring this week is Gambler Lures. But more importantly than that, they've come out with a smaller version of their Big Easy called the Little Easy, and I don't know if how many of you have used the Big Easy on the Desert Worm, on the Desert Hook. It's you got to try this. It's a different combination. It's very productive. I started throwing the Big Easy about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I guess it was, and maybe 4 years ago. 3 years ago, more consistently 3 years ago. But and I use it as a top water buzzbait. Slop bait type thing. It weighs a good amount. So, reason I'm saying this is because I used to throw the flapping shad all the time in the weeds and stuff. Flapping shad's good lure, good piece of plastic, has its characteristics and stuff like that. But one of the things I always found about it is it was light. So when you're throwing it in slop and stuff like that, I'd be putting a 1/32 ounce screw-in nose weight on it, just so that when I got it in the pockets, it would drop down and you could fish it. You could yo-yo it in the pockets and stuff. Because sometimes when we're fishing topwaters and they're not biting consistently, they're off a bit. They may be tucked up underneath the pads, and sometimes when that lure or whatever comes over and it just dips down in the water, it doesn't stay, but it breaks that surface and it dips down in the water. Sometimes there's just more of an enticement there for them to nail it. So also that brings me into the drop shotting in shallow water with, you take a bell sinker, put your hook 6 inches up and drop shot that way. And I'm sure it's got to work. So anyways, I'm working on that one. So don't tell anybody. It's all confidential. Just kidding. It wouldn't be if I just told you now, would it? So anyways, because they have the Big Easy, and because it has three, it can do 3 different jobs. It's a versatile piece of plastic as opposed to throwing a frog. Like you throw a frog out in open water, and unless it's one of the Bill Dance's little popping frogs and stuff like that they used to make years ago, it doesn't really create too much action to it. So you don't get a lot out of it. So, but the Big Easy, because of its bulk and because of its size and its tail. A lot of vibration out of it, a lot of bulk to it. It throws well. You can on braided line, you can toss the thing, 75 feet, 100 feet easily, even more than that if you got a longer rod. And so it lends itself to that style of fishing very well. Now you combine it with the Does It hook, which has a little blade on it. And then you've got the added flash that you want, or you've got the minnow that's being chased by the big fish or something. You know what I mean? Like it just gives it that difference to that bait that some other baits don't have. And I got to say, I'm going to do this on video at one point in time because I've caught some good fish on it. I use it pretty much nowadays as a search bait. Swim bait, that's the other one I'm looking for. It's a swim bait. So it's, you can fire the thing out on a weed line, let it go all the way down to the bottom, and just crank it along the weed line. You can take it in 6 inches of water, throw it up on shore, and roll it off the shoreline. And, catch fish in 6 inches of water. So that's how versatile it is. So you give it a try. Now, because of they have a smaller version of it now, it's, the smallies are going to love it even more. So put it on a jig head, throw it out there, let it go down 20 feet, and just start reeling. And wait until they nail it. Or if you find them suspended, and now they go all sizes in it. I have an order in for the little easies, but I don't have them yet. I will soon. But they have a smaller version of it that I brought in for putting on Alabama rigs and stuff like that. So A rigs, but and those I was using in the springtime for putting them on a jig head and swimming them for walleye, and they work quite well. Anyways, that's enough about that. I've got a couple of things here that I wanted to talk about. still to go. One of them was, and this deals with the tournaments and the tactics and stuff like that. I think I'll do the Otty Lake thing first of all. But I got a call from a friend of mine. He does charters and he does them all in the areas. He goes all the way to Quinte. And this guy's he's a registered. Like there's guys that are out there that guide, okay, and they call themselves guide, like I used to call myself a guide. And then there are licensed guides, and there's a big difference here. A licensed guide has all the stuff, okay. He has the right life jackets. He has the training, the safety training. He has a certification. He has all that. And then there are these guys like we used to call myself, and we just take guys out and stuff like that and say that we're a guide. Anybody can call themselves a guide, but to be registered with Transport Canada is a different matter. These are the guys that do Lake Ontario, not Big Rio, but the bigger waters and stuff like that. And so their boats have to be equipped a certain way. And if you actually look at the regulations and the legislation, a lot of the guys that say they're guides, their boats wouldn't even meet the standards. So anyhow, he's one of these guys, and he's very good at what he does. And he came to me, or he called me the other day, and told me about this little adventure he was having on Otty Lake. And Otty Lake is just outside Perth. It's a very nice lake. I've heard rumors about it for years and years and years, and I fished it about 10 years ago. I guess maybe a bit longer than that. Didn't know it well. I didn't have a lot of time, so I actually don't really remember much about it. And then I'd go by it every once in a while and just take a look at it and say, I'm gonna go fish here. And I had a friend or an acquaintance who lived on the lake, and he said, if you want to go fish it, let me know and we'll go. And every time it just never came around, or we could never, hook up type thing. So last year I decided I was going to go fishing, and it was November. And my wife and I were looking for some place to fish, and I said, let's go fish Otty. And I'd heard stories, okay, lots and lots of stories of people who had fished it there and had damage to their trucks, damage to their trailers, damage to their boats, harassed, letters left on their vehicles. Stories of a person goes out in the wintertime, places big rocks on the ice in the wintertime just so that when they freeze and fall through the ice in the springtime, they cause obstacles to beach your boat. Because there's one access. I guess I should go back through here because I just thought of it. There's one main access place to Otty, okay, and this ramp, which is Miller's Bay, I believe it is. You got to back down a hill about maybe 40 yards, I guess, maybe a bit less than that. It's not the best of ramps. It's in my rating of a ramp, it's like a 30% ramp type thing. I mean, I've seen much better, but you need a 4x4 to get in there, basically. So the people of Otty Lake have been pretty much maybe babied type thing as far as letting people get on the lake. A lot of the locals, like the friend of mine, he's got access to it from his property, so that's why I wanted to go fishing from his property, and I got to get a hold of him to do that. But so anyways, Otty ended up being on my lesser list of lakes to hit, and I didn't want to take my bass boat because I didn't want to have issues, and it's a rock. There's a lot of rocks with the ramp, so I don't have my keel guard on yet. So that ended up, or at that time I didn't have the keel guard, so that ended up causing problems and stuff like that. So anyways, I went with the wife. The first time it was nice, but it was cold. Remember, it was November. It was cold. We had no issues or anything like that. The second time, again, he had no issues or anything like that. So, but I did recognize these large rocks that made it difficult to bring your boat up to the shoreline to so you can get out and get the trailer down and stuff like that. And the launch isn't great launch, like I said. I mean, you're backing down this hill, and they don't maintain it. It's not graded or anything like that. They don't throw rock down on it, so the water's the rain has washed a couple of areas away and stuff. So, and then I had heard that they had repaired it a few years ago, and they had done some minor repairs to it. But it's basically the locals on the lake. Actually, the second time we fished it, there was a local pulling his pontoon out, and they just basically seemed to think, okay, it's our lake, we can do what the hell I want, and if you got to wait for us, no problem. So, because the way he was pulling it out, I didn't think he was going to be able to do it, but he did it. I mean, yeah, he's obviously done it before a couple of times. So, but I just didn't get a warm, fuzzy feeling from this guy to begin with, so, anyways. My buddy calls me up and says, yeah, have you been on Otty Lake lately? I said, no. He says, well, you should go down there, because there's signs all over the place. Hey, now, what's happened here? And this is Reno and George, if you want to get on one of lake access, okay, this is not an association that's doing it. This is just an individual person that's doing it. She doesn't have the right to do this. And everybody knows who it is, because I've been told it's the person on the right-hand side of the ramp, okay? Anyways, left-hand side as you're coming up to it, but as you're on the water. But and what she's done to people is harass them if you make too much noise coming out first thing in the morning. My buddy's, he's had windows broken. He's had paint on trailers, even tires slashed. All sorts of things which go along with other anglers of what I've heard of before, of having paint put on their trailers and marks on their windows and notes on their trucks and air let out of their tires and all sorts of stuff like that, just because this one person who lives right beside the ramp has an issue with people using the ramp and the access that they're doing on the lake. And now she sees the guy's guide boat, and she's going like, oh, what the hell? Well, he says he's been on the lake, and he's been abused basically on the lake. And he's not fishing docks. He's out. This guy fishes. He fishes deeper areas. He doesn't go along and beat people. Remember, he's taking more. He's guiding. So he's got 3 or 4 people in the boat. So he's not going to take them and try and fish docks with 3 or 4 people in the boat. It just doesn't do that. So he's not, oppressing people in their backyards or anything like that. What he's doing, he's going out on some of the mid-lake humps, and he's fishing for smallies out there, and he's doing other stuff like that. They come out and they harass him. They don't want him on the lake, plain and simple. What is it with these people? They got a lot of money. I'll tell you that right now. On Otty Lake, there's a crap load of money. And with more money, I think, comes more entitlement and less awareness and less and more, I'll buy a lawyer, or I'll do it this way, or I'll do it, I'll do it a way that I shouldn't do it type thing. And I'll do it no matter what anybody else says anyway. So anyways, my buddy's got the township involved. He's got a couple of the politicians involved, local MP. He's informed the police. Because what this lady has done is she's put notes up, or she's put signs up all over the launch area saying that there's no parking allowed on the ramp area. Now, what they had done in the past was they had made a little area for us to park, because if you look at the area, if you had 6 boats there, it's going to be tight, okay? But luckily, you only see maybe 2-3 boats there at a time, so it's nice. But this is just a warning to people. This is just a heads up. If you are going to fish Otty, look out. She's a lunatic. I shouldn't say that. I don't know her or anything like that. I haven't met her or anything like that. But this lady seems to have a strange grasp on reality. How's that? If that's a better one for everybody, to be more politically correct. But she seems to take entitlement to, or maybe she's just a possessiveness of the launch or something like that. But I doubt it because I haven't seen her out there fixing it. I think this is just a matter of, you infringe on her sound area and she doesn't like it, so she comes out and starts to try and do something about it. It's truly distasteful. It's not the same thing as what's happening on Mississippi Lake by any means at all. And if people wanted to worry about lake access, this is the type of thing that we need to worry about, because this is done on an arbitrary basis. And there would be some people that would look at these signs and they would think they were official, because that's what I asked my buddy. I said, do these things look like they're official? He said she had them made. So, you would go there as an angler one day and fish it and no problem, and you go back there a year later or whatever, and you see these signs up and you go, what the hell, why can't I park here? Because he said they look that official. And he had to question them. So, I got to say, that's a landowner taking rights to the nth degree. Actually, that reminds me of something that I wanted to say about rights and land rights and stuff like that. Another little story that I'd read in our local EMC about land rights and what some people will go to in order to maintain their land rights, good or bad. I don't care one way or the other. It makes no difference to them to me. But I'll tell you, and because I had an incident somewhat similar, partially similar to what happened to this lady, and our outcome was way different because I didn't threaten the person at the time. I just told them right straight out, this is what could happen if this continued. But anyways, so Otty Lake, look out for the boat access lady, the boat access lady. Anyway, so, and if you're down there and you're wondering if there's signs up saying you can't park here, they're BS, okay? You can't park there. She doesn't have the right to do that, and they're going to look into doing something to her to make sure she doesn't continue to do this, because this is harassment of anglers that they're not even on the water yet, and they're being harassed, and property's being damaged as well too. So, and what's happened is not enough people have said anything about it. So police don't have reports, and people just say, oh well, what the hell? It's too, we got to get off our asses and start doing things. I mean, we got the internet. It's not hard to send off an email here, send off an email here, an email to the cops, or pick up the phone. I mean, everybody's got a cell phone. Why can't we do this? I mean, it makes no sense to me. And this interconnectedness. We're at the pinnacle of intelligence for mankind, and look at what we're doing. We're spending more time with our heads down and our thumbs twitching than we are looking at where we're going. Anyways, that's pretty cathartic if you think about it. I think my other rant I'm going to save until my next show, because it's I don't think I can do it justice right now. Something that I heard, and I like to analyze things, and I've come up to not a conclusion, but I've come up with a hypothesis on bass tournament fishermen that it seems to be 50-50 right or wrong here. Anyways, what I was going to say about land rights and stuff like that. EMC, and this was about maybe a month ago, month and a half, maybe a bit longer, but anyways, a lady had an issue with a couple of dogs coming on her property from the neighbor dogs coming on the property and chasing her horses. Now, she knew where the dogs came from, and she had gone to the neighbor, and she'd said to the neighbor, restrain your dogs. And the neighbor said, yeah, okay, whatever. Then it happened again, and this time she took the dogs back to the neighbor and said, your dogs were chasing my horses. They're on my land. Please don't let them do that. And in the country, for all the city folk out there, in the country, if a predator comes on your land, which a dog can be considered, even though it's a pet, if a dog comes on your land and chases your livestock, your cattle, whatever, it can be considered a varmint, and it can be shot on sight. So when this lady said to the neighbor, please don't let this happen again, the neighbor basically went, whatever, and didn't restrain her dogs. The next time the dogs came on the property, the lady shot one of them, dead. Took the dog back to the neighbor and said to the neighbor, here's your dog, do something about it. I warned you, and this is the result. Now, apparently she had called the neighbor and said, I just shot your dog and I'm bringing it to you. So when she showed up at the neighbor's place with the dog, the OPP were already there. She was arrested and charged with, I forget the offense, but she was taken to court. The person that shot the dog was taken to court. Now, okay, where are the rights here, okay? And why is the cop charging the landowner rather than the person whose dogs are at large, okay? Why it happened, you can only go and question the police officer. But why the Crown continued on it, you can only go and question the Crown. The simple thing is this. There is a statute in the law that says that if somebody's dog, whatever, it could be his chicken, it could be whatever, but if it's deemed to be offensive to the livestock, you're allowed to eliminate it from. And here's the thing. I had the Reeve, okay, of Beckwith. This is going to be a good one. I'm glad how this goes. Anyways, I had the Reeve of Beckwith, who was leasing the land beside me for his cattle. The fences weren't taken care of properly. Over the last 10 years, they probably, once or twice a season, the cows would get out on the road, come on our property, we'd have to call them, okay? And I'm telling you, this is a continual problem. So last year, it just got out of hand to the point where I was just telling the people when they came down the laneway and said, hey, is that your cow on the road? I said, call the OPP. So they had 4 or 5 calls about cows on the road. There was even one on the highway. I mean, and this is what I'm getting to the point to. This person didn't seem it was, and this is the Reeve, okay, mind you. This guy didn't seem it was necessary enough to take care of his fences so that his livestock got out and gave the people driving down the road a safety hazard. It's all people's. It's all in people's entitlement. I'm entitled to do this. Why? Because I'm wearing brown underwear today. I don't know. Anyways, so this lady is taken to court, and thankfully there was a judge out there that actually read the law books and understood that she was within her rights to shoot the dog. Now, the person that owned the dog, and don't get me wrong, I'm a dog owner, so I love dogs. If somebody shot my dog, that'd be tough. Anyways, but I train my dogs so they don't do stuff like that. That's why it doesn't happen around here. Or my neighbors are nice enough that they'll put my dogs away and come and say, hey, is this your dog? Anyways, so the lady was, and it cost her lawyers' fees and all the rest of that. It wasn't paid for by the other person. She bore the full brunt of this whole situation because she took the situation into her own hands. Okay. Now the police wouldn't have done anything about it. The police would have showed up and said, "Well, there's no dogs here. What are we supposed to do?" Or they'll say, "Well, it's not. It's not really a police issue. It's a bylaw issue." At that point, call the bylaw people. You know what? By the time the bylaw person gets there, the dogs are gone. The whole incident is done. So what does that do? Anyways, I'm out in the back there one day, and I was pulling my maple buckets off the trees, and one of the people that lives down the road beside us is walking her. It's a boxer. Looks like a boxer pit bull mix. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that type of debate on, anyways. So she's walking it down the road with no leash on. It gets to one of our fence lines. Their dog sees a cat, chases the cat, comes onto the property, chases the cat up the tree. And then it sees the horses, goes into the field where the horses are, runs around there for a bit, chases the horses a bit, and then runs out onto the road. Or, well, she's calling it, and the dog's not coming, obviously. And so it finally goes back out onto the road, goes back to her. I hop on my four-wheeler, I run over to her, and I said, she was, at that point, she turned right around and went right back down the road. She wasn't finishing her walk. She was going right back home again because she either saw me or heard me on the four-wheeler and decided, I'm not going any further now. So anyways, I follow her. I intercept her down the road, and I said, I saw what happened, and would you please just put your dog on a leash as you're going past our property? So she starts giving me all these excuses. Oh, he's in training, he's in this, he's in that, and yada, yada, yada. And I said, yeah, okay, I know all that. But still, put your dog on the leash when you're going by. I said, I didn't care about the cat. Big deal. Chase the cat, whoopee deal. I said, but you know what? If my wife sees that dog chasing the horses, she's going to be upset. Okay? And so this girl just couldn't get it into her head to just put the dog on the leash. She still starts giving me all excuses. So I looked at her and I said, you know what that dog's going to do? Because you don't have control of it. That dog's going to run out on the road one of these days, and it's going to get hit by a car. You see the look on her face. She started to understand now. I said, and you know what's going to happen to that dog? That dog may wander onto somebody's field down the road here, and they may shoot it. And then she looked at me. She goes, well, they wouldn't do that. I said, do you know all the people on the road? Do you know whether they have guns or not? So do you know any of this? And she's a deer in the headlights at this point. I said, people in the country, when animals come onto their property that are not their animals, they shoot them. And I kept enunciating, shoot them. So she looks at me and she goes, you telling me you're going to shoot my dog? I said, I don't own a gun. How can I shoot your dog if I don't own a gun? But what I'm telling you is this. That's the point that it can get to. And like 3 weeks later, I'm reading about this lady out in Lanark who actually shot the dog. So anyways, she runs off home type thing. An hour or so later, I get her two brothers coming up the laneway. They're saying, are you threatening to shoot our dog? And I'm going, are you guys ill here or what? You know, I don't own a gun. How do I shoot something if I don't own a gun? Your sister... or your girlfriend, well, it was one guy's sister and the other guy's girlfriend. I said, your sister, girlfriend, whatever, who didn't clearly hear what I was saying, didn't realize the importance of putting the dog on the leash, and that's all I asked her to do. And because she kept arguing with me, I had to tell her in more straightforward terms how important it is to her and the dog to put the dog on a leash as you go past our property. Well, they seem to understand that, I think. Anyways, so weeks later, I'm running up and down the road on my four-wheeler, and I look in the field, or I look in some of our trees on the side of the road, and I go, what the hell is that hanging? And I think, is somebody hanging a deer lick in the tree? Because we had this jackass making his blinds on our property, on our back field, without any permission. Another hunter with a gun. And I said, I thought to myself, I said, some guy putting a deer like that could be. So I look over at it. No, it's a bag of dog shit hanging in the tree. That's their response. Here's our dog shit. We didn't like how you treated us, but here's our dog shit. Anyhow, I just gotta laugh, man. I really just gotta laugh. Oh boy. Anyhow. That's what happens in the country sometimes. In the city, I guess they'd be just taking guns and shooting each other. I'm not sure, but in the country, we throw dog shit onto somebody else's property. So, what can I say? That's what happens when people get their rights in a knot about stuff instead of just, instead of being a rock and being carved to in a rock, you got to be a water. So. The insults and all the rest of that sort of just got to bounce off, or they don't scar, because that's what all it is one person thinks their rights are being more infringed by the other, so they take a more entitlement to it than somebody else does. So, But anyways, I'm not going to get into a psychological discussion of what happened. Just the simple fact that I think it's very funny that how people go about feeling that they have the right to do this and the right to do that and the right to do this and the right to do that. Just like I think I have the right to talk about it, But certain things need to be talked about. That's what I think I have the right to do. So, anyways, and guess what? Reno's giving me that right as well. Well, Reno, yeah, in conjunction with Reno, he's giving me that right. So, anyhow, that's it. I hit 40 minutes today. Pretty cool. My next rant is going to be about tournament fishermen and the psyche of some tournament fishermen. And the depths that they'll go to just in order to live for their addiction. And how scary that can be. And how it can lead to all sorts of, well, ultimately divorce and all sorts of bad places. So, anyway, that's going to say that for next week. So, our next show, which we're probably going to do soon. But anyways, thanks for listening to this podcast. I really appreciate you listening. Once again, it was brought to you by Gambler Lures. Go fish. And we're being broadcast on WRVO Radio Network, or WRVO.com, the radio network of Reno Viola Outdoors. Give a listen to all the shows. Everybody's got a good show out there. I was listening to Grizz there this morning. I like those guys. Anyhow, that's it for me, Mike Lynch Staunton. Appreciate you being with me this podcast, and I hope you come back next time. Take care.